Welcome to Learning Reaper. I'm your host, X.E.L.O. And today what I want to do is show you a couple of different ways to actually use drums inside a Reaper, whether that be through a VST, whether that actually be through sampling, or actually using audio to make drums. So let's get into it, and I'm going to show you a couple of ways that I do my drums in Reaper. Let's go. All right, so here we are in Reaper, and this theme is called Reaper Tips. What I want to start with is like the drum programmers, like the Steven Slate drums or the Moto bass drums or the MT Power Kit, which I'll probably use the MT Power Kit. It is free and is pretty simple to kind of get and self-explanatory, so I'm going to start with that. So I'm going to right click in here, I'm going to go to the instruments, and I'm going to go to where I have my drums and samplers, and I'm going to choose the MT Power Drum Kit and hit add. And it's going to pop up a screen. It's going to ask me if I want to have stereo outs. You can set this up automatically, but I'm not going to do it now just so I can show you how to do it if you choose no. So here we are in the MT Power Drum Kit 2. Right, so you have all the drums in here. You have an option for a mixer, so you can send your outs to different places. And it has an option for grooves. So let's say you want to do a groove real quick, and let's just start with this one. You drag it down to this little like composer area if you want to, right? And then you want to do, let's do a hi-hat one, 8th hi-hat, and let's just do this, right? But if I hit play here, this is where I just compose. Right, and it'll get it to actually loop inside here. So what's cool about this is you can kind of drag and drop the MIDI into your project. But as you see, I didn't add all of the other tracks. So let's add the tracks and then come back to this. So I'm gonna close this out. So in order to add the tracks, you want to go to your effects, click on your effects channel, right? And once you're in effects, you want to go to edit. And once you're in edit, it gives you an option that says build multi-channel routing for output for selected effects. You can also do it for MIDI if you just wanted to do MIDI channels, but I'm going to do it for this one so I can actually use them how I want to as outputs, right? And it's going to ask me if, am I sure? And okay, this is the same box that popped up the first time when we tried to open up the Power Kit. And it'll do that if you have any VST that has multi-channels. Hit yes, and Reaper will create those tracks. So now if I drag this and put it in here, as you see, I can just drag it, the MIDI, into the track. And now I have these little MIDIs right here inside of the MIDI channel for the MT Power Drum Kit. And if I play it with the sample, this is what it sounds like. Right, but you see that it's only coming out of one channel. So in order to change that, you can go to mixer, right? And then you just change your outputs. So let's change this to 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna put all the toms on the same one. The bell could probably be on a hi-hat one. And let's go to 8 for the crashes and the China. All right, so now everything is going to its own output. And it'll all show up inside of the mixer tracks. So now if I play it, everything that's being played will be down here. And you can also see that it created like a MIDI stripe, but you have that option to do that in here. So you can mix them individually if you wanted to, right from here in the mixer. And if you wanted to ever do like have this MIDI converted into audio on these tracks down here, I'm gonna show you how to do that real quick. All right, so I'm just going to kind of highlight all of these. It makes it easier to go down here to do it. All right, so all of them are highlighted, right? And I want to make sure that the record is on for all of these. So I'm going to hit on my record button. So all of them are set to record, right? And now we just need to make sure that the output is going to be what we want. So this little button here gives you an option for record. We want to click on that. And we want to make sure that the output, we're going to record output to mono. You can do stereo if you want to. And you can record it as MIDI. It'll record in as MIDI just for those channels as well. But I'm going to do this for output. And now when I'm ready to record, it'll actually record the audio, right? So if I hit record, it's going to pop up this dialog box that's saying, are you sure you want to record multiple channels because most of them are selected? I'm just going to hit record. Right, so now we have our recording right inside of Reaper, so we can mute the MIDI one and we'll just have the drums. Right, and it's just that simple to do that inside of Reaper. This also works for like drum machines as well, and I will show that a little bit later in the video. All right, so the next method I want to show you is actually like the sampling side, or just using the audio itself. Let's go. So I'm going to be using my Smash Kit. If you haven't downloaded the Smash Kit, it is available. The link is below in the description and it's absolutely free. So definitely check it out. So let's start with a kick. And I can drag and drop this right into Reaper. Right? And let's find a clap. Right? So we have a clap. And now let's get a hi-hat. All right, so now I have a kick, a clap, and a hi-hat. So I'm going to shrink this one down just because it's long for no reason. I'm going to shrink in the hi-hat as well. If you wanted to actually just kind of move this around, the conventional way would be like to hold down control and you see this little plus sign down here, and this means you can drag and make kind of like a duplicate of that track itself or the sound and move it to where you want it to go, right? Another way to do this, if you wanted to, I have a video showing you how I set this up. Is if I hold down control on my keyboard and click anywhere on here, as long as this one is selected, I can put it where I want to put it, right? Just by clicking and adding it on there. And that video should have a link above in this video to show you how to actually do that as well. And if you want to just duplicate, or you highlight it and you hold down Control and D, that will duplicate the hi-hats over. I think that's a really, simple way to kind of do stuff. I'm going to move this snare and put it in place. Let's add another kick. So I'm going to hold down Control and add a kick here. Right, so something really simple to kind of start off with, and this is what it sounds like. Right, so if I wanted to copy all of these and then just duplicate it, I can hit Control and D and duplicate these over into the track itself. You can use the little wheel here, or just pull down from the top of your sounds to kind of give the hi-hats a different sound if you want to do that as well, right? So I can make this one a little lower, bring this one down just a slight bit, right? And you can kind of do this along the whole track to kind of give it just kind of variation if you wanted to do that. It's not something you have to do, but it gives it a little bit more bounce to the track, as you can hear. So let's say that you wanted to offset it. You can go to your sends right here, this little sends button, click on that, and you'll have an option here that says media playback offset. So this will make you offset the sound of your hi-hat or whatever you have as audio. So let's do a little dramatic here. Let's go like here. And if I play it, right? You can just double click to bring it back to 0. And if you wanted to go earlier, you can go, this is my negative is bringing it earlier and positive is bringing it later. So that will also help you with offsetting the sound if you want to do that, right? But let's say that you didn't want this hi-hat. You didn't like the way this hi-hat sound and you wanted to use a different one. If you double click the track, it'll highlight all of them on here, all these hi-hats, right? And let's choose another hi-hat. Let's say, and once we right click on it, it'll give us an option here that says insert in selected media item, and we want to replace the media source. It does give you an option to replace the source and kind of stretch out whatever sound you're putting in there to fit the loop, but I'm just going to use it as a replace the media source. And as you see, it'll replace it with a new sound. So now I have a different hi-hat in here. Right? And if I want to go back to the one I was using, I believe it was this one, I can do that same replacement and replace it back, right? So now we have, right? So I think that's really cool that you can do that inside of Reaper as well. All right, and that's just dropping audio inside a Reaper. Like I said, definitely check out the Smash Kit. It is free, and the link is below in the description. But let me show you another method that you can use. All right, so the next method is using samplers. Like they have an ADSR sampler. It will give you an option to manipulate one sample at a time, kind of like a one-shot. They have complete control, which is one of my favorites. I use that all the time. And they also have one inside of Reaper called Resamplematic 5000. And we're going to use Resamplematic 5000 just because we're using Reaper. And I just want to show you the default settings that you can kind of use inside of Reaper. Let's go. All right, and once again, using the Smash Kit, I'm just going to go to my kicks folder here, and I'm going to use this same kick. How I have mine set up is that if I double click the sound, it'll automatically bring it into a Resamplematic 5000, or you can just right click on them and you go insert into a sampler player, right? And you insert player on a new track, or you can reuse. But I have mine set up to where it'll automatically send it into a Resamplematic 5000, right? And if you want to actually get that set up, I'm gonna go down, you go down here, you can right click inside this section here, anywhere inside of the Media Explorer, and you want to go to your options, and inside of options, you want to hit on where it says default action, double click, and I have it set to insert MIDI or open project, and I have it on insert media into a sample player on new track. So anytime I double click, it'll do this inside of Reaper. So now if I double click here, it'll automatically open up a Resamplematic 5000 with that drum or whatever I selected. Let's do a clap, and let's do a hi-hat. I'm going to use the same ones. All right, so we have all three of these set up on here. And if you came from like that FL Studio kind of background, you wanted to have a way to kind of just add the notes in, you can use xelohh to do that. And I have a video showing you how to actually use xelohh inside of Reaper and how to set it up and all that good stuff. So if you go to extensions and I use my xelohh, here is xelohh right here. I have mine set up to do 4 bars. And what I want to do is add selected tracks, but I need to select them first. So I'm going to select these 3 tracks, right? And I'm going to go here and add selected tracks. So now I have these tracks here, right? And I'm just going to hit this control panel so I can see the velocities down here as well. I have my kick, clap, and hi-hats. So I'm going to change this to 4, right? Just so I can just do my hi-hats really quickly, and change this back to 8. I think the clap is going to be here. Nope, that's too far. Right, and we can do the kick. All right, so now we have pretty much what we need. So we have a little drum set up on here, and as you see, it made its own MIDI lanes and items. And this is if you are used to using, FL Studio to kind of make your drums using a rack. This is a really good substitution for it. It's not the same, but it'll help out, right? And you can always do the same thing inside of MIDI. So if I double click on here, it'll bring up my MIDI editor where you can see that I'm using the same exact things in here. So these are the same notes that I've used inside of xelohh, right? And if I double click on this one, this is the clap, and this is my kick. So basically, the same thing as using it inside of the MIDI editor. If I wanted to add a note, I can add a note in here as well, right? So it's just that simple to kind of do that in here using the Resample-Matic 5000. Or if this was a complete control, it would be the same thing to set this up. Or the ADSR, you actually be able to use the MIDI in there to manipulate those as well. So yeah, so this is a MIDI way of actually doing the setup. I want to show you one cool trick that I've kind of learned about the Resample-Matic 5000. All right, I'm just going to delete these. I'm going to add another track in here, and this will be my MIDI for the track. So I'm going to pull it up above them, and let's name this MIDI. So now that we have that set up, this little option here for the sends, we're going to send this to each one of these. So I'm going to go here, send this to this one, send this to this one, and send this to this one, right? So all of them have sends now. You can see the little red mark letting you know that it's being sent to that track. And make sure this is on MIDI. And you have I'm going to set it to all channels. So now if I press a key, all of them will play at the same time, but it is being controlled by this MIDI editor up here. Now what you want to do is make sure that each Resample-Matic has its own key. And to do that, you would open up the Resample-Matic, make sure this note shimmy semitone is off, and make sure it's just on sample and ignores MIDI note. And then you just need to figure out what key you want it to be on. You can use this little knob to find that out. C3 is 48, or you can just use the little knob to kind of turn to see where you want your stuff to be. And I want this to end on the same exact key. So I'm going to use 48 for it starts, and 48 is where it ends. And that's for the kick. So I want to do the snare as well. So seeing that this is on 48, let's do 50, which would put it on D, and we'll do 50 for this one. And I'm also going to change this to sample ignores MIDI notes. And then we just have the hi-hat left, and we can change that. So we're going to go and do 52 and 52 and make sure this is on sample. So now if I go to my keyboard, I can play, I can go. And it's just that simple to kind of set this up. And if you wanted to keep this, you can actually just kind of save all of them. Make sure all of them are highlighted, right click, and save track as a track template. So basically you can create your own drum machines really quickly without having to compromise the actual track itself. So if you do make something, let's say we did something in the MIDI, and let's record. So we have that setup on here. Let's go into the MIDI. See if we can fix stuff. That was really bad. I'm going to quantize. Hopefully that works out for the better for everybody. That was pretty bad. All right. So now we have our drum setup in here. And just like we did earlier in the video, if I wanted to actually have them have the sounds coming straight out of here, out of these tracks, I would highlight these, right? And I will go to any one of them and go to the record and make sure this record output is on mono. So now if I record, it's going to pop up that dialog box. I hit record. Right, so now we have the drums actually laid out this way as well. So if you make a drum machine, this is how you can get it to be an audio file after you finish laying down your MIDI inside of the track. You can just mute this one. Right, and it's just that simple to kind of set that up as well. All right, so the last one I want to talk about would be like a drum machine itself, like speed speed drum or Satilla or machine itself. So those are like drum machines that you kind of can just put in there and it'll set itself up inside of the DAW. So let me go over one of them real quick, which would be Satilla. They still have a free version available. If you do want to contribute to them, they do have a new version set up in here. You can do your outputs just like any of the other ones. It's the same exact kind of thing if you want to set it up that way. All right. The cool thing about this new Satilla, it gives a nice little layout of all the stuff on here, right? And when you set it up inside the piano roll, I'm going to make a MIDI item real quick, right? And let me stretch this out. You make a MIDI item and it'll tell you all the things that you have inside on the keys itself, which is really cool. I really like that feature that it has. And this one also gives you the option to do a different layout, like the old layout that it used to have on here before. And it also has your audio output, so you can go to the 16 channels really easy or fairly easy with this VST. So if I do that, all right, and as you see, it created its own lanes for it by itself, which is really cool. Like you can just do this really easy in Satilla. I think this is a really good tool to actually have, especially in Reaper. If you're, like I said, if you don't want to actually get the newer one, the 2.0, you can still use the 1.0 one. I believe it's on the site. You can find it at the bottom of the screen. It says the older version where you can still download that one for free. All right. Right. And if we just, just did something really quick in here, I'm just going to record something in. And we're going to quantize these just because I'm horrible. All right. So now we have some drums in here. And as you see, it's already routed in there. And if I wanted to have these recorded, I can go and record these in. Make sure I hit the record button. Go here, go to my output and go to input mono. And I'm going to record these in. Right, so now we have that set up in here, and now you know how to convert the MIDI into audio if you have your output set up on in the Reaper as well. I hope you guys really got something out of this video. I really enjoyed bringing you this and letting you know how you can use Reaper in so many different ways, man. I think it's a really good DAW, and I hope you guys agree. But that's pretty much the end of this video. If you guys have like any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comment section. Make sure you are liking and subscribing to the channel. It is still fairly a new channel and we're still learning together. So definitely make sure you like and subscribe. And once again, I want to thank you guys for watching Learning Reaper. Till next time. Peace. Hey you, yes you. YouTube wants you to watch this video next, man. Go ahead and click it. I'll wait. Nah, I'm just playing. I'm not going to keep waiting here. All right. I will see you in the next video, though. Peace.